Adam Caplan is our NFL insider, and you can follow him at Caplan NFL on X for free, which is beautiful. He's been covering the NFL for almost 30 years, and he set the standard here on SportsGrid across the board. You catch him on Coast to Coast regularly. And we've got preseason football tonight, a pair of games. Hope it's better than that Hall of Fame game that got canceled because of weather.
Yeah, the last one, the first one, last Thursday, after 41 minutes, they called it. And I know people were pissed that they couldn't cash their tickets in. So, yeah, tonight now in Foxborough, right? Panthers are visiting the Patriots. It's not supposed to rain during the game. Now, here's the story. Let's go to the Panthers. Bryce Young is not going to play tonight. You're going to see undrafted free agent, not Jake Plummer, but Jack Plummer out of Louisville. He's got a decent arm, but he was an undrafted free agent. Jake Luton, who's a young journeyman at quarterback. So you're not going to see Bryce Young. And by the way, though, they're happy with his progress. They've added a lot of qualified, talented pass targets. They're looking to take their offense to the next level. And with the Patriots, they're going to play. They're going to give Drake May an extended look. The Patriots will quarterback the first-round pick. And one of the sensations at training camp, Joe Milton, who's a quarterback out of Tennessee, who I saw at the Senior Bowl, has the strongest arm for the draft, has major issues with accuracy, but this guy is a gunslinger. You're going to see him tonight. For a Patriots team is looking to rebuild here. And remember, as we talked about earlier this week, they're in on the sweepstakes for Brandon Ayuk. It's not going to happen. Ayuk doesn't want to go there. But the bottom line is, as I put out 3 months ago for Pro Football Network, the Patriots are looking for wide receivers. They're looking to improve. They want to build around this quarterback. It's going to be Drake May eventually starting. We know that Jacoby Brissett right now is almost certain to start week 1, but at some point, Drake May is going to take over the season, and they need to help him.
Well, I think that's the only thing interesting about, frankly, tonight's game is watching Drake May play to see what he's made of. I want to ask you before we talk about this next game, you mentioned Brandon Ayuk, and it is beyond me how long this has taken. I mean, this is every day now for a month. For a month, we have talked every day about Brandon Ayuk, and yesterday the Steelers allegedly re-engaged these negotiations for a trade. They want a receiver. I think it's Austin that they want. And all I know is it just never budges. It never moves. Nothing ever happens. Like, I give up. I don't even care anymore.
All right, let me explain this to you. First of all, I'd be very surprised if the Niners would take back Calvin Austin. He's a talented guy, but he's smaller. They like bigger receivers, 6 foot or taller. Usually don't like the smaller receivers. And if you're the Steelers, they've got Pickens, right? Now, we've talked about Pickens and how great George Pickens is. He had a really good season last year.
They're not trading him.
No, I know. No, they're looking for someone to play opposite him. That's where Ayuk comes in.
Right.
And that what would happen is Roman Wilson, I'm told, their hope is that he'll be back in about 2 weeks, come back from a pretty significant ankle injury. He would be the number 3 receiver.
Right.
They're not trading Frymouth. No, it's Pickens is going nowhere. They don't want to create a problem. They already have issues with depth at receiver. So George Pickens, by the way, Pickens is what we call an X receiver. Ayuk could play that side, or he could play the other side. He could also play inside. He's a completely different player than Ayuk. Than Pickens. I don't know where people compare the two. Pickens is a contested catch, go get it. Ayuk is a run after the catch, incredible, with the ball in his hands, a phenomenal talent. And by the way, the contract, if it gets done and this happens, it should be around what A.J. Brown got for the Eagles, around $32 million. That is the contract that he's looking to get. The Niners are nowhere close to that. That A.J. Brown deal was very, very solid, way better than his first deal that he got done with the Eagles.
All right, let's go to the game at Snoopy tonight between the Lions and Giants, who have had about 30 fistfights this week.
And both teams are getting fined $200,000. But by the way, it is going to rain, barring a change, in East Rutherford tonight for the Giants hosting the Lions. Now, the Giants, I'd be surprised if the starters play very much at all. In fact, what I was told was they want to take a good look at their backup linemen. Their offensive line was terrible last season. Daniel Jones, by the way, looked good. He looked healthy. He threw the ball well this week. They are way faster on offense. The guy to watch tonight is Theo Johnson, the tight end out of Penn State, the 4th rounder, who was a vertical tight end. He got down the seam against the Lions defense. The Lions felt that their first day that their offense didn't perform as well as they would have liked. The second day they were much better. But, man, the Giants here, they're kind of in a new beginning on offense. Brian Daboll, by the way, is taking over play calling from Mike Kafka. Kafka, who was the offense coordinator last year and called plays for most of last season, he's going to be up in the booth. And defensively, by the way, Wink Martindale, he's gone. He's now with the University of Michigan. Shane Bowen comes over from the Titans, where he was a protege of Mike Vrabel. The defense will not be as aggressive. It's going to be more disguised and late movement. A lot of dropping for the linebackers, but it's going to look different. And the Giants here, they're not in a rebuild. They refuse to say that, but they're sort of in a retooling of this roster. And then when you look at the Lions here, it's just taking it to the next level. They've rebuilt their secondary. They feel great about their offense. My understanding is they're planning not playing on most, if not all, the starters will be rested tonight. But there's a saying in the NFL with coaches, you can't rest everybody. Some of the starters are going to have to play, but most key players will not play tonight for the Lions, and they look sharp. And by the way, they're one of the few teams that actually will have live tackling during practice. They don't do it like the Raiders, as I told you last week, who had a live hitting 35 to 40 minutes, but they will hit, and they are a very aggressive team, and it shows, and they're certainly one of the lead teams.
All right, let's talk about the story that just keeps on giving, which is the Hurts and Sirianni relationship in Philly. This won't go away. It's like it just is unbelievable. It's month to month to month. It just all I ever hear about is that these two don't like each other.
All right, so you and I talked about this issue a month ago, and I remember you saying to me, we need to keep an eye on this. Well, wouldn't you know it, my friend Tim McManus, who I used to work with, and Jeremy Fowler, who I ran into last week in L.A., they put this piece out, really detailing the issues between Sirianni, the head coach, and the quarterback Hurts. And my understanding is there was a major disconnect between the two. Jalen got paid. He got his contract. He wanted more responsibility. He wanted more on him after his MVP-like performance in 2022. And Sirianni had a scheme that worked really well in 22. He didn't call the plays, but it was his scheme. He wanted to stay the same, and it was stale. And that was not going to work with owner Jeffrey Lurie, who's all about innovation on offense and offensive football. So there was a change there. They brought in Kellen Moore, who's running his scheme. Nick's not going to have much to do with it. It's Kellen Moore's scheme. It's completely different, by the way. It's more aggressive. There's downfield throwing. It's more 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, 1 back, and 1 tight end. It's going to look different. But you're right. The big story here is the head coach and quarterback getting on the same page, and Sirianni's interference last year, which did not go over well with anyone. And look, I know they made the playoffs for his first 3 seasons, Scott, but let's call it like it is. Not only do they have to make the playoffs, they're going to have to make a deep run because they had a very aggressive offseason. Last year they did not. They had a very aggressive offense offseason with Saquon Barkley at running back, which is a major move. 2 new coordinators. There's a high expectation, Scott, within the Eagles building that they're going to take a big jump this season, and they need to with that roster.
How in God's name did he keep his job if nobody likes him? And they collapsed the way they did. And they brought him back for what? Like they think they're going to like him now? Once they don't like somebody, they never change their mind.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I don't buy that he lost the team. I think what happened is he lost his way a little bit. He needed to get himself righted, and he did apologize to the team in the offseason, but this coach, though he made the playoffs for the first 3 years and made a Super Bowl 2 years ago, he's absolutely got the spotlight right on him.
Can you imagine Bill Parcells apologizing to a team in a locker room? That would never happen. I think that's kind of candy ass.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do a great job last season.